The opinions expressed in this video are the sole responsibility of the producer of this video. As such, they are not to be taken more seriously than is practical in your particular situation. Therefore, the producer accepts no responsibility for anyone's actions in response to this video, because if their mother couldn't teach them right, how the heck can you blame me? The task we are tackling is replacing the empty toilet tissue roll in the wall dispenser with a fresh roll. Your household may have other significant, even pressing issues between you and your loved one. They are beyond the scope of this instructional video. If they cannot be handled by the simple but effective, "Here, have some wine," I encourage you to consult a professional, your mother, or even Dr. Phil. Hello. Today's instructional video covers a simple but profound task that confronts many men in today's modern household. Replacing an empty toilet tissue roll core with a fresh roll of toilet tissue in the wall dispenser unit is often considered inconsequential by men in the overall scheme of cohabitational male-female relational dynamics. As such, it ranks below the perennial toilet bowl seat up or down debate. The first step is to assess the situation. This assessment should take place prior to starting any other procedure, such as sitting down to do your duty. Otherwise, there may be consequences. However, if nature's call was strident enough, you may have already lost control of the situation. So these steps may have to be taken after completion of said task. Begin by preparing and staging the replacement roll from the toilet paper roll replacement storage facility. However, if there are other males, they may already have completed this step for you. Next, you must remove the roll support rod from the wall support unit. Grasp the rod firmly between the thumb and index finger. Pull towards the center of the rod in the direction of the axial radius. You will be pulling against the pressure of the internal spring installed within the rod. When the end of the rod sufficiently clears the socket in the arm of the wall unit, rotate it up and clear from the arm. Do not allow the far end of the rod to lose contact with the socket of the opposite arm, or the empty cardboard core may drop uncontrolled to the floor. If this does happen, you will have to initiate the core retrieval procedure. That procedure is beyond the scope of this video and is not covered. Grasp the core with your unoccupied hand. You do have an unoccupied hand. Move the rod and core away from the opposite socket. Slide the core off the rod and discard it in the provided trash receptacle. Oh well. Grasp the fresh replacement roll firmly. Lift and rotate it in a horizontal position. Position one end of the rod in the roll core opening and insert the rod axially into the fresh roll. Note that the direction of the paper feed either clockwise or counterclockwise does not affect proper feed of the paper. Direction of feed is only of aesthetic and personal preference and is beyond the scope of this video. Do be aware, though, that direction of feed can have relational consequences in some households. With the roll approximately centered on the rod, move the assembly towards the wall support unit. Support one end of the rod in the grasp of the fingers of one hand while guiding the other end of the rod into the wall support unit arm socket in the grasp of the fingers of your other hand. When the rod end is placed firmly in the opposite socket, begin moving the rod in axially against the internal spring pressure. Monitor the other end of the rod to ensure it stays securely seated in the opposite arm socket. Loss of seat may result in failure to maintain the fresh roll on the rod. If the fresh roll falls on the floor, you will have to initiate the fresh roll retrieval procedure. That procedure is beyond the scope of this video and will not be covered. Monitor the compression of the rod. When it's sufficiently compressed, rotate it down and align it with the arm socket. When properly aligned, gradually allow the rod to extend axially from spring pressure in a controlled manner. Guide the rod end into the arm socket until fully extended and seated. Check that both ends of the rod are securely seated and that the fresh roll dispenses paper freely. Congratulations! You have successfully completed the fresh toilet tissue replacement procedure.